Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater. And now we're going to talk about it in Matt's Honda Pilot, in the parking structure right next to the theater. And we're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Can you take your kids? Should you take a date? Should you go by yourself? Do you need to pay attention? Can you slack off? Can you nap, snack, or craft? Or do you have to pay attention to every single little detail to not miss the twist? You know, some of that, all of that, you know, we try our best. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. And yes, we saw a movie tonight. This movie is called Demon Slayer. Slayer. Mm-hmm. Infinity Castle. Tim, who's in this movie?
All the original Japanese voice actors from the anime.
That's right.
This is an anime adaptation that's using the same voice cast from what I know.
Yep. So no notable people, at least at this point. They're not notable to us. So what is Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle all about? It's about demon slayers fighting demons. And they are
in a castle that goes on for infinity.
Inside an infinity castle. And there's many
layers, levels.
Yes. It's very big, and there are many fights and one-on-one type battles and two-on-one battles. And anyway, we'll get into all that.
Yes.
Todd, what is your infinite impression of the Infinity Castle Demon Slayers movie?
As the person who is the most familiar with the subject matter.
Yeah, I'll say if you want to know what Demon Slayer is about, you can watch it on Netflix. And it'll explain everything.
Okay.
And, well, you know what? You can cram through the whole show and maybe in time for the movie. It's up to you. Depends on how you want to live your life.
How many episodes is it?
There are 5 seasons. One season, I think the first season is like pretty long, like 20 episodes maybe, but then everything from there is like
Pretty
8
long.
to 10.
So
Okay.
Sailor Moon had
I mean, no,
65
it is
episodes in its
not.
first arc.
It is not like a typical Japanese anime where it's like
60 episodes a
There's
season.
like 70 episodes per season. No, it's not that bad. The first season has a lot, but then from there it's like these smaller 8 to 10 episode arcs.
So you're only talking like 100, 120 episodes here.
Maybe. No, not even that. Because
Okay,
it's
but
the first one's 20 something, and then it's 8 to 10 after that.
Oh,
for
8
4
to
more
10,
like
seasons.
8 to
50s.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really not that bad. But
Anyway, go.
you could watch the first couple episodes, then you kind of understand the show, and then come see the movie too. There's options. Okay, so I'm gonna land. So I really love this movie, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its problems. And I think the biggest glaring problem to me is that I don't think an anime format show fits into the mold of a movie. Like, it didn't feel like a movie to me. It felt like we were just getting a couple episodes smashed together. And that's not a bad thing, but I just really felt like it's hard to take a show like Demon Slayer and make it into a 2.5 hour movie where instead of like things ending for the episode, you just have to like cut away to the next thing or whatever. Like I felt like that was the biggest negative I have towards the movie. And I don't know why they felt it needed to be 2.5 hours long. I mean, I did feel like it dragged. But it dragged in the typical Demon Slayer format, which is fight, lots of action, then backstory, lots of action, another backstory, lots of action, and then a flashback. Like, so I would say seeing that format dragged out over 2.5 hours was not the greatest I felt. Like, but I do also feel like these 3 movies, they're going to be 3 movies. This is the first of 3, which is going to end the show, is just pretty adventurous. And I feel like it's paying off because it's doing gangbusters right now. And I mean, I figured it was going to do well because the show's very popular, but I don't think
anybody expected $70 million in the U.S. alone.
Right. No, it's like $600 million worldwide, and it's only been out for a month worldwide. Like, so, I guess that just means it had much more of a loyal fan base than I thought it ever did. But I just think I mean, to me, that's the biggest negative. As the person who actually know what the show's about and knew what I was getting into, my negative is that I don't think the format of the show and the flow of the show lends itself well to a 2.5-hour movie. There were times in the movie I felt like I kind of want the credits to roll because I'm sufficient and like I'm good. Like to keep it going kind of feels like we're tempting fate for things to fall apart for me. But okay, so that's the biggest negative to me. Like, otherwise, if you've seen the show, I mean, this 2.5-hour movie really does play exactly like the show. It's just 2.5 hours instead of 30 minutes. I think some of the best things is I think this has incredible animation, like just the flow of fighting, the colors, the action is just top tier in my opinion. Like, and thinking about like some of the bad CGI that we've seen, and like, you know, what was that Disney movie, Wish or whatever, that we were like, yeah, the animation just wasn't good. Like that shooting star Wish, was it Wish? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and so like watching this, I'm like, man, this is what anyone who's trying to do animation should look like. It has a mixture of CGI and animation, and it was beautiful to me. Like, I thought, most scenes, I was like, wow, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. I thought that they showed a lot of clips of the Infinity Castle. Like, it was like they were really driving the point home of like how infinite this castle was. And there was times where I was like, man, you could have cut out like every access scene of just going through the Infinity Castle, and it may have been like a half hour shorter. Like, so, but, you know, I'm a fan of the show. I'm investing in all these characters. I think this movie was not as bad as I thought it was going to be in the realm of like characters being killed off and stuff, because I do know some of how the show ends, and I think there's a lot of people who don't make it. Like, so be prepared for that if you're a fan of the show. But, you know, I had a good time. I had a fair amount of drink left in my drink. Like, I was pretty invested. And, you know, I even at one point just stopped eating my snacks. I was like, I'm zeroing in here. I don't want to, like, distract myself. So, and I honestly can't remember the last time that's happened, where I've just been like, I'm hungry, but I'm purposely not eating my stuff because I'm invested and I want to follow all this. So, yeah, I mean, I say go see it. I get that these movies and animation in general is not for everyone, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think, considering you haven't watched the show. One of you, I explained the show in as much detail as I could before the movie, and the other one I didn't. So I'm intrigued to see how that goes. But if you're a fan of the show, go see it in theaters. There's no reason not to. If you are like, oh, I've never seen the show, but I'm interested, maybe I should go see the movie. I think that's not the best idea, but you know what? You guys might have a different perspective on that. Like, so, I'm definitely going to land on you should see it if this is for you. I don't think it's anything worth taking a chance on. Like, if you're like, I've never gotten into this Japanese animation before, let me try something out. I don't think this is where you want to start, but, that's just me. Tim?
Yeah, so I am the one who knew nothing going in. However, I have watched some Japanese anime in my lifetime, so I kind of knew some of the tropes or style choices or cultural things to expect. And so, but I think you're right, Todd, as far as a movie, it definitely felt like being dropped into the middle of something without help. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because I don't think this movie was trying to be an introduction. I think this is definitely here you go, fans, here's your, this is their Infinity War.
It knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like, this is the end of the show.
Right,
so
this
we're
is
giving
their
you 3 action-packed movies.
This is their Infinity War, and it's like as if you didn't watch any MCU and just saw that first.
Right.
And that's fine. Now, I was able to kind of, follow along as the movie laid itself out. Like, here are clearly the heroes, here are the bad guys, and then let's watch some really spectacular fight scenes with lots of stylistic stuff. And like you said, the animation is gorgeous. The Infinity Castle is really this always evolving, changing mishmash of like Inception and Doctor Strange's Mirrorverse and just all these other really cool looking visuals that I feel like was a feast for the eyes. So I have no problems with the animation. The animation was gorgeous. I thought the voice acting is Japanese, but the emotions are there. I thought a lot of the scenes were powerful, even though I didn't have any attachment to these characters, but you could feel what was going on. And I like that there were some little touches of anime style humor. There was a couple of goofy characters hinted at, although there was not a lot of comedy in this. Not that I think there should be. And then there was also some over the top type stuff that you expect in an anime with the super dramatic, slashes of swords and big eyes and faces and reactions and powers and all that kind of stuff that you could just kind of, if you have any kind of anime knowledge, you're used to seeing stylistic stuff like that. But yeah, as a movie, I don't know if it's a very good movie. It's because there's a lot of action, stop, pause, dramatic stuff. Let's totally derail the action and do this backstory. Now, the backstories might be interesting or good, then thrust right back into the action and big dramatic shrag back stop. We're going to do some more backstory, and this one's going to be even longer, totally killing the momentum of the fight that was going on.
Yeah.
And there was some of that, and you can tell from, because that was pretty much the movie's whole format, that's a stylistic choice from the show, and that's fine. But like you said, Todd, it doesn't necessarily translate to a movie that like gets you in from beginning to end, following a linear path. There were a lot of jarring cuts too, from backstory to backstory. Sometimes hard to keep track of who we're following.
Yeah.
And again, as the one who knew nothing about the show, I might have been the most disoriented by that. But visual feast for the eyes, definitely. I will see this next one. It was interesting enough for me that even not knowing everything, like I want to see how this ends, because clearly there's high stakes here, and there's some characters that meet certain ends, and it's just all interesting. And it was interestingly enough done that I would see another one, still having no knowledge of what's going on really, and but I was intrigued enough, and just wowed enough by the visuals that I will probably go see it again. Now, I can't, like you said, I can't speak for people who are just wondering what this is off the street and going to go see it and jumping in like I did. I only did it because we're doing a weekly podcast about movies, and I love movies.
Well, you probably have about 2 years till the next movie, so that's plenty of time to get the show.
That is fair. That is fair. I mean, you're talking to somebody who, watched Sailor Moon from beginning to end, which had 60 episode seasons, and it would be like showing somebody, here, let me show you one of the movies which took place about 3 seasons in, and you just throw it in with, and you kind of know who those characters are. And so I loved it, but if I were just to show that first to somebody, they'd probably be as lost as I was. Not that Sailor Moon's as deep as this show is trying to be, but same idea. If you're a fan of this series, obviously you want to see this because this is the end of the show, or the big arc that they're building to, and that's great. For the lay movie fan, I'd say you might want to either catch up on the show a little bit or read some synopses and try and before you go see this, because I feel like the emotional punch might be stronger for you, and who's surviving, who's showing up, who's dying, who's living might matter more to you than it did to me. Not that I didn't feel some of those things. I thought there was a really extended flashback and backstory that I thought went on way too long from where it was in the movie, but it was really well told.
Yeah.
And so I'm really torn about it because it really put a halt to the movie, like in a really severe way, near the end. But again, after they told the whole thing, I'm like, well, that was actually kind of satisfying, even though I was ready to hate it because of how much it stopped the momentum. But that's a Japanese thing that I've always enjoyed, is that they will try and, if not redeem bad guys or villains, at least give you reasons why the choices they made led them to where they are. And I do admire that in their storytelling. They're very big on doing that. So overall, I don't know if I recommend it if you're not familiar with the material. But I did like it enough that I didn't have a bad time. I wasn't confused to the point where I'm like, I don't like this. like I did want to like it. So in the end, I think I'm going to come in the middle grades, but I don't think that's a knock on the format and the movie so much as it is my lack of knowledge going in.
Your experience of this.
Yeah. So as the newbie to it, I was intrigued enough that I would like to see what the next one is like. Matt?
Well, so I have not watched any of the show. I got a synopsis on the way to the movie theater, and that's the extent of my knowledge. That wasn't really enough for me to enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I struggled. I mean, the main problem is the length of the movie.
Yeah.
It was very
2.5 hours, and some of it's just very, very slow, very drawn out. Some of the backstory scenes are just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna hit you over the head
Not
with
subtle.
it a few
Not
more times.
subtle. Nope.
So that to me is the biggest flaw. Things I liked. I thought some of the fighting scenes, most of the fighting scenes were pretty interesting looking, visually, and the pacing of those when they weren't interrupted with backstory. Very nice, very visually appealing.
We all agree on that.
I didn't like the Infinity Castle design. I thought it was kind of cool in that it was infinite and changed and did all this stuff, but to me it was wooden buildings. Here
Yeah.
are more wooden buildings, and now they're changing into wooden buildings, and they were all brown and looked fairly similar to me. So I wasn't as intrigued with that as you guys maybe were.
In fairness, it's feudal Japan.
Yeah. They
It
were
is.
going for stylistic cities.
We're not going to get skyscrapers in the
Yeah.
Infinity Castle.
At least not metal ones.
No,
Wooden
correct.
skyscrapers maybe on top.
It's all wood.
Wooden ones are much more exciting to punch someone through.
Right. So I had a little bit of trouble with the characters and telling who's who, and there was a lot of them. That's based on me not having really knowledge of the show at all.
And in fairness, there are some main characters who get very little play in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that are arguably Tanjiro's the main character, but then I'd say there's 3 side characters who are in a lot, and they barely get any play. I mean, really only Zenitsu, the blonde guy, he gets some play, but then the boar mask person and
What about the guy with the big the mace? He seemed like he was important, but they didn't really.
yeah, you don't. Him and the other Hashira, you kind of know through the series, and this last season you get to know very better. But the people I'm mentioning are there from the beginning of the show almost,
Got it.
and are the core group, and only 2 of them really get any play in this movie. But I think in general they have a lot of ground to cover for 3 movies.
Right.
As this is all, I mean, because it's a manga, all this has already been laid out. So they're trying to
just
fit
adapting.
everything
They're just
into it.
adapting.
Yeah.
Yep.
But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, just anyway, to finish up, I would say, unless you're a fan of this series, I don't recommend watching this movie. I think it's way too long, and you're going to be a bit confused. You by the end, you will pick up who's who and what's what.
Yeah.
But I thought, especially at the beginning of the movie, there was just a lot of sort of chaotic action and
Very cool.
hard
looking.
to connect with
Yeah.
the characters at that point who you don't know at all if you don't know these characters.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, and I think this is what makes the 3 movie model adventurous, but also I'm kind of high risk, high reward.
It's for the hardcore.
Where it hits, it's great, but where it doesn't hit, you're so the end of the last season leaves off on a major cliffhanger. And then the start of this movie picks up basically where that cliffhanger left off.
But
so
you don't know that.
you are, if you know nothing about the show, I mean, you're walking into just a big old, what's happening? So. Well, how many butterfly hair clips would you give this movie? That comes into play in this
does.
one. 0 being the worst because then you have nothing to hold your hair and it's just a disaster. 5 being the best because, that's a lot of
kinda
clips
pretty.
and I think you can make it work. Matt?
Well, I'm going to go with 1.8 hair clips. In general, my experience was not great. There were some good, interesting parts, but overall, I think I was not not super impressed with the movie and didn't have the greatest experience. And there was people talking next to me.
Oh,
I kept hearing stuff.
I saw
over
you
there.
looking. I saw one guy kept looking at his phone.
Yeah. There was also the guy in front of us who kept putting up his hands, like just to stretch out. And I'm like, dude,
Oh,
we
I
are
don't know if
reading the subtitles.
I was so much zoned in that I wasn't even looking at.
Like, he had it up for a solid 30 seconds, just straight up in the air. And I was like, oh boy. Is this,
I was
I don't think
trying
I've
to
ever had to
focus.
yell at someone to lower their hands, but
Put your hands down! Put your
especially
hands where I
during
can't
a
see them.
subtitled
Subtitled,
movie, like,
yeah.
you are right over the words, buddy.
Yeah.
Freaking theater etiquette's going out the window.
Anyway, Tim.
Yeah, so like you said, like the visual feast of it gives it high marks in my book. But like you said, being the total newbie, not understanding the characters, I had some of the same problems Matt had following everything. But I still liked it more than I didn't. So I'm right in the middle, which I think is a fair rating for someone who knows nothing. I have it at 2.5.
Fair. Now, honest question.
Yes.
Answer honestly. I'm not going to be hurt.
No. Yeah.
Do you think either of you will watch the show before the next movie comes out? Just to have a better experience? Or are you just like, I'm going to finish this train. I'm going to ride this to the end and just keep piecing it all together?
I will say I liked enough of it that I am intrigued enough that I might check it out. Will I watch the whole show? I don't know, but I might
Sure.
give it a few episodes to see if it hooks me more, because the movie was interesting enough that it made me go, maybe I should do this so I can appreciate it more, because I think I probably would have given it a higher rating had I known more about it.
Sure.
No.
I knew that was coming.
What if I convince your daughter to watch it with you?
Maybe, but we're kind of already on the Star Wars train together.
Oh,
No,
that's right.
geez,
I
that's
forgot
a long
going
route.
on. All right, fair enough. Okay, so obviously I have the different perspective because
Yes.
I have watched the show, and there's a lot of payoffs in this movie, and there's a lot of kind of, like I said, paying off long storylines. Like, I would argue that the main fight in this movie between the three people, none of it resonates because it all comes back to earlier seasons
sure it
where they
does,
fought
yeah.
before, and someone died during
did.
that fight. It's all these feelings that you just don't know. So they pay off a ton. And, but if you don't have any of that knowledge, I see how it's just okay, well, that happened. So, but as a person who really likes the show, it's probably my favorite anime that's come out in years. I'm going to land on a 4. I do think the movie format is not the best format based off of how this flows as a show. But as a person who knew what was coming, in a sense of I knew they were going to ramp up the action and it would go into a flashback scene. That happens
That's what they do.
a lot, but in show format, it doesn't feel that bad.
Right, because
in movie format, where they keep stopping for a 20-minute thing, and you're like, man, come on now. And also in arcs past, when they've done that, they've done the backstory almost when the fighting's over. So it's right. Not too many times that they pause the action to be like, okay, let's do a flashback. So yeah, I'm at a 4. I anticipate that the next 2 movies are going to be a little bit more rough of who lives and who dies, and I'm not sure how I'm going to emotionally handle that, but this movie fulfilled a lot. Like I said, I think it being in a 2.5-hour movie format made the pacing just all over the place. And like I said, I felt like there were scenes that they just kept playing, the Infinity Castle over and over, and I'm like, we totally got it. You could have cut almost a half hour from this movie,
Yeah.
But also I could understand them just trying to cram every little thing in because they're like, this is the end of the show, so we're putting it all in here. And honestly, I think their gamble is pretty much paid off at this point. I can only see the next 2 movies doing even more money. So, but yes, I say if you watch the show and you like it, there's no reason to not see the movie. Unless you're like my friend Fontaine, who's not going to go because he doesn't want the riffraff in the theater. That I kind of understand. Because, it wasn't horrible tonight, but it was distracting at times when people are just being dumb. And the anime crowd in general can get rowdy when they're watching something in the theaters. They don't understand theater etiquette. So, yeah.
They don't.
They don't. If you're listening to this and you're an anime fan, you probably don't know theater etiquette.
Yeah.
Time to learn it.
Yeah. Which is, don't be on your phone.
Don't raise your hands.
Don't
when
put
we're
your
all supposed
hands
to be
up.
reading subtitles.
And
Stop talking.
Don't have a conversation
Yeah.
with your neighbor.
Just don't talk at all.
Yeah.
Like, don't. If you
not watching it with
can't
your
talk
friend.
responsibly in the
Right.
theater, shut up.
It's not a hanging out at your friend's
Yeah.
place all watching.
If
the
you don't
movie.
have an indoor voice, like I had said a couple things to Tim, and I'm positive no one around us heard it.
Nope.
If you don't have an indoor voice and you can whisper, then shut up. Like, just don't open your mouth.
This has been Matt and Todd's theater etiquette.
We have to
do
start a
that.
whole
We
other
could do an
podcast on
entire
that.
podcast on theater etiquette
We could. And breaches that we've seen.
and how mad it makes us.
Yes.
That'll be our rating system. How mad were you?
Yes. Mad. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed the movie Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. And we gave it an average rating of 2.77 out of 5 hair clips. And that's slightly above average, and I think skewed heavily towards people who have watched the
Familiar
show
with the material.
should go see the movie. We all agree on that.
Yes.
If you haven't, well,
Good luck.
Good luck. Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's just not going to pack an emotional punch.
it's not.
It's going to be craziness
It'll still be
just
visual,
for craziness.
visual
Yeah.
feast, but
You're going to like what you're seeing, but it's just craziness for craziness sake, and none of it's going to mean anything.
Yeah. And it's going to be too long.
It's going to be too long. Too much Infinity Castle.
So yes, but thank you, fans, friends, enemies, all who listen to our podcast, for listening, downloading, subscribing, all those things.
I mean, we've invited a lot of people on the podcast. Someone one
have.
day is going to accept.
eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, yeah, keep on doing that stuff, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.